Well, that was very much doing Rahsaan Roland Kirk's act,
Yeah.
singing in the flute and the commentary in between lines.
Now, for some of our listeners who aren't real familiar with Rahsaan Roland Kirk, Timo, just give us a quick outline of who.
What an absolute giant! This incredible. Every single record, amazing. Musical persona as large as Charles Ives meets Charlie Parker meets Duke Ellington. It's a musical miracle. Blind, plays three saxophones at the same time. Plays. He's the best flute player music's ever had. His his personality is so massive. His artistry is so mind-boggling. His tenor playing is so legit, like, tenor saxophone. Here you go. Oh, you want alto saxophone like Charlie Parker? Here you go. Oh, you want soprano sax? Got that too. Oh, wait, I play all three of them at the same time and sound like a big band, and it's fun. What? You know what I mean? That's it.
In our discussion, we hadn't really crossed, his name hadn't crossed our over in our chats, and I was just kind of shocked by. I mean, I'd known about him for a long time and was a fan, but I'd gotten a little deeper into listening to some of it, and then got his biography. And
yeah, it's not the best written biography, but since Roland Kirk is such an amazing human, uh, in spite of the deficiencies of the biography, it's incredible. It's an incredible read because the stories are superhuman. you know?
yeah, yeah,
And the flute playing, and to be fair to Ian, he does a pretty good job. I mean, he doesn't. He's not like a terrible flautist or anything like that. He's good. Maybe there's some resentment that he penetrates into pop culture because he's British and white, and Roland Kirk doesn't have the same, ability to get into the consciousness of every single human being, the way Ian Anderson does. Whereas he's kind of aping on Roland Kirk's genius.
yes. But at the same time, I think in terms of exploring the virtuosity, I have to give Ian Anderson credit.
Yeah, it's very in tune. Yeah, he's playing very in tune, and it's legit, and he's doing a good job of absorbing Roland Kirk's influence.
Yeah, yeah, and that I have to say that surprised me a little bit because it sounds like he picked up that instrument inspired by Kirk.
And flute is freaking hard.
Yeah, yeah.
My flute playing sucks. It takes a long time to play in tune and to build up stamina. It's like trumpet. It's like you got to practice it for a few hours a day for your whole life, or you sound like shit. That's how it works.
Yeah. So if nothing else, I think we can acknowledge that Ian
Yeah,
Anderson
yeah.
is a talented musician to be able to even do that.
And playing lead flute into a microphone in a rock band to 10,000 people, that I would find that challenging. Here I'm going to step up and I'm going to put this little flute right into the microphone, and I'm going to put on a sermon. That's I can do that with saxophone. I can do that with bass. I can do that with several instruments. Flute, I'd be
Well,
terrified.
that's one reason I wanted to include this cut is because it is very unique and again an instrument you don't think of as being a lead instrument in a rock band. But we got a few more cuts to get to here. I know one thing I wanted to say just when we were talking about Rahsaan Roland Kirk, and we'll get into this in later episodes, is here comes Jimi Hendrix's name comes up yet again. That he was enamored with Rahsaan Roland Kirk.
Yeah, the legendary story is that when he went to England, he had with him Rip, Rag, and Panic, the album, the Roland Kirk album with Jackie Byard.
Yeah.
And that was like his favorite album. And he was wise enough not to try to necessarily imitate the feel that those guys are playing, the jazz thing that they're doing on there. But what he is imitating is the, what Hendrix does with the wah-wah pedal. There's an element of deconstruction and modernism to the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Beatles number 9,
Right.
where some of those intros on Hendrix's albums, maybe you have to be on LSD to know what the hell he's getting at here. You know, it sounds like audio art. Doesn't sound like guitar playing. It's audio art. Like weird.
Yeah, and also they were going to record as together as well right before he died.
Oh,
right?
Man. And that would have been shortly before Roland Kirk's stroke. He had a stroke in like 73.
Yeah.
And still played 3 saxophones at the same time.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So,
wow, that's another. I wish
right?
wish that would have happened. That would have changed all of us forever.
So Jimi Hendrix's influence continues right into our next bluegrass song.
You and this bluegrass thing, huh?
And here's a weird thing: is this is a cut that is actually an old. Well, it's not old. It's like from the early '60s, I believe. That's in the tradition of the classic murder ballads, and it's called "Hey Joe." And "Hey Joe," was a signature piece for Jimi Hendrix.
He didn't write it?
He did not write it. It was written by a kind of folk blues guy in the early '60s. Yeah.
I always thought it was his own tune. Oh, and then everybody was. But I guess he owned it so hard that everybody basically comes out of Hendrix's version. Although this version, when I listened to it, I thought this was actually coming out of the original version.
Yeah,
am I right?
I think so, or somewhere in between. But it's murder ballads are a big thing in folk and bluegrass and all that. Mm-hmm. And so I think when this more modern writer wrote it, it was kind of in that tradition.
But I don't think the original had that sort of descending bass line thing, right? Boom, do, 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 do. Right?
I have no idea. Yeah, maybe.
I think that was Hendrix's adaptation.
Yeah, if any of our listeners know of the, if there was original recordings by the writer, we could always check that out. But yeah, so now one of the funny just coincidences is that this is off actually a Jerry Douglas album, and that Alison Krauss cut, the original recording of that is off this same album called Slide Rule. But he had a guest vocalist come in, Tim O'Brien, who we're going to hear a lot about as we go forward, because Tim O'Brien is a great, if not the greatest modern bluegrass vocalist, and is also a multi-instrumental whiz, a mandolin, where you'll hear him do an incredible mandolin break on this tune. And he also plays fiddle, banjo, guitar, everything. But
what the heck? It's like Mark O'Connor or something.
Yeah, well, and he makes it all look totally effortless. It's like when you see him in concert, when you see Tim O'Brien, it's almost deceiving. You have to close your eyes sometimes because he's so casual about it. You think, God, he's not really trying, is he? And then you close your eyes and you go, oh my God, it sounds incredible, just like the record.
He's able to do that while reading the newspaper and buttering some bread, right?
It's like the easiest thing in the world. And also, you have to go to our YouTube playlist and check out the video of this cut, because it's one of the great videos on all of YouTube. And here is Tim O'Brien singing and playing a mandolin solo on Hey Joe.